We are coming into a Sagittarius full moon at 13 degrees of Sag, and it's going to occur on June 3rd, 4th, depending on where you live in the world. This is a particularly interesting moon. It's occurring at a place we had an eclipse back in 2020. It may involve some big energies here to do with partnerships, moving into a place of homecoming or yearning for a true home, and even some decisions you might make to take action on things that you're being very strategic about. All of this from one archer's bow of a Sag moon. By the way, it's also the Sabian symbol for a train entering the tunnel. A lot to unpack here today. First of all, before we get talking about what this means for the collective and for you individually, based on your rising sign, probably most accurate, but please listen as well for your sun and moon sign. A bit of a reminder about me. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm a whole sign house astrologer for the most part. I'm using the tropical Western zodiac, not sidereal. If you are looking for Indian or Vedic astrology, you're not getting that here. I'm also somebody who loves to talk about minor asteroids. We'll be bringing a few of those minor asteroids into the story today. The devil is always in the details. If you want to know more about what I do, I teach classes. I have a Patreon community that's thriving where you get a bunch of goodies from me, including early access to every single video you see here, ad-free ahead of the curve, as well as discount codes for readings and courses with me. As well, I have my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, which right now is on a promotion. If you sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter during the month of June, and I'll include that into May if this video goes out at the end of May, and then I'm going to just gift you access to my it's a gift, it's a discount, my 2023 All Signs video. That's 12 All Signs video bundle package. That's 12 60-minute videos going into great detail about each sign. And of course, it's great to share with friends or check for your sun, moon, and rising. We're almost halfway through the year, and every time I hit June, I give these away or re-promote them for only half price, but I'm giving this promotion only to subscribers of my newsletter. So get on the newsletter if you want to get this content for only $22 instead of $49. All right, so let's get rolling. It's less than half price. So let's talk about what happens when the moon is in Sagittarius and it's full. First of all, let's look at the sky, and that would help you see what I'm seeing, and we'll get going from there. This is a 13-degree moon. The Sabian symbol is a train entering a tunnel. Very many interpretations. I think anything to do with entering a tunnel means going into a time of uncertainty, darkness, waiting for the light to show on the other side. You can consider it a passageway energy around this full moon. The moon is always full when it reflects the light of the sun. There is the sun in Gemini at 13 degrees across the way. This is creating an interesting formation called a wedge. And by a wedge, I mean the moon is opposite the sun, and that is in a connection to the asteroid Juno for business and love partnerships. And you can also see that there is a flowing blue lines called a trine and a sextile to Mars and Athena. Now the moon's already been in touch with Mars and is moving past that contact of a moon-Mars trine, but is also now actualizing a perfect connection to Athena, the goddess of strategy, victory, knowledge, and wisdom. In Rome, she was the goddess of victory and war, and here she's sitting with Mars in a fire sign. Certainly I could say something like what this moon might do for you as wherever Athena sits in your current sky, which is 13 Leo, it could be bringing in some kind of strategic choices and actions, some kind of victory or win, something to do maybe with bodies of knowledge and wisdom. Mars is just the action and decisions and momentum and willpower around it. Also, you can see that there is the fact that this is a Sagittarius moon. It is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is having nothing to do with it. In traditional astrology, there is no aspectual relationship between Jupiter sitting on that north node. Check out my last video on that if you haven't seen it already. It's going to set something in motion for the next few months in your life. But there's no way that Jupiter can have any dominion over the moon or control the moon or help the moon or anything, because basically his position in the fifth house is called an aversion, or in modern astrology, an inconjunct or quincunx. So he's too blindfolded, can't see what's going on in his own house. It's interesting when it happens this way. In the meantime, Jupiter's just busy trying to please Venus, who's moving through his sign of exaltation, the sign of Cancer. So he's busy with her. Another thing I'd like to say is that if you look at this little asteroid down here, it looks like a bird or an arrow through a moon, but I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. Let me give it a shot. I'm going to try to say this asteroid for you. So give me a minute while I grab my sort of way of saying it. Cheat sheet. Something like Leleakuhonua. So Leleakuhonua is an asteroid that's named for a Hawaiian myth, and it has to do with a creation chant. It's also associated with the migratory flight of birds and a longing to be near the earth or searching, yes, for one's true home. You can be homesick with this, homesick for once was, a nostalgia, a yearning to go back to some better place, a place where your spirit lives, or helping others to return home or find home. Leaving home in order to find a better place and appreciate your home. All of those are possibilities. Now, why am I talking about it? I'm bringing up this asteroid, this Hawaiian myth asteroid, because it's at 12 degrees. That forms a trine to the moon. It forms a trine to Mars, Athena, and thus we have a grand trine in the sky. You can't see it because the software isn't coded to draw big lines between the minor asteroids, but trust me, there is a big fire trine in the sky. And this kind of saves this moon because fire trines are about initiative, and Mars is there, and it's about action and will and daring. There's something about this that has migratory birds moving forward. In my view, what could look like a very kind of quiet lull version of a full moon may have a lot of spark. And there was an eclipse only 2 degrees off at 15 degrees of Sagittarius back in June 5th, maybe of 2020. Add 6 months, maybe things that occurred in your life June of 2020 to the fall, end of the year 2020, may be coming back for a redo in some way. Just consider that spot is very hot in the sky from the past. Back then, of course, Jupiter was not in Taurus, so it was a whole different story, but it bears witnessing and discussing and speaking of, all right? I think he was still in the late degrees of Aquarius back then. Okay, let's get going as well, and therefore he could probably witness it. Let's go going and also talk about one last thing before we talk about your all signs thing, and this is going to be a relatively short video, if you don't mind. It's been a long day at work and a recording for Patreon community on May 26th. I would say one thing about it. My feeling is because Venus is going to hightail it into Leo, join Mars, join Athena, and she'll be there on the June 5th timeframe and spend 4 months there. There's a quality of a delay, something coming forward, like eventually, that we're not seeing, some kind of super silver lining. I'll show you what I mean as I move this chart forward by days, okay? There we go, the moon at 27, Venus at 29. The moon moving into Capricorn, Venus moving in on June the 5th into Leo. It's almost like this moon hatching some fire trine of initiative is waiting for the benefic goddess of luck and opportunity and goodness and kindness and love to soothe the fires of Mars, who's very hot and bothered, thus wildfires, extreme weather as well. And we're seeing a massive tsunami or typhoon forming heading towards Taiwan, possibly on the 26th, having avoided the Philippines. And, there's a lot going on here. There is a lot going on here because of the Uranus in Taurus for Earth, Mars in hot, fiery Leo causing inflammation, Saturn in the water sign of Pisces. So therefore, some of this will cool down a bit, I hope anyway, energetically, as we move to June 5th. I also expect in the longer arc of the story over the course of the several months, including Venus retrograde, for this to have a lot to do with the Ukraine because of connections to Vladimir Zelensky's chart, but I'll be doing separate videos. In fact, I'll be doing a video once every month on the Venus transit, part 1, 2, 3, and 4, because she will be in Leo basically for 4 months. So let's go back to our current sky and just note what's going on here. So the moon at 13 degrees, run by Jupiter, who has no say in it. However, there's an interesting last little comment. The sun is in the sign of Gemini, ruled by Mercury conjunct Uranus, and will be conjunct Uranus exactly on June 4th. That can be some surprising, shocking news that's tripping up and triggering through the sky. It may be separate from this particular lunation, or it may be connected. It's really hard to say because, of course, Mercury is also in aversion to the sun and also in aversion to the moon. So it may be a sidebar story and not particularly integrated into this lunation at all. There's no light or information coming from the benefics to this moon. Venus cannot converse with the moon. In aversion she is. right? Although she is in the temple of the moon, she's not actually witnessing the moon. And you can also say, of course, that Jupiter, the lunation lord, is also unable to witness the moon. So this is kind of an interestingly either neutral or kind of paralyzed or a kind of unsupported moon. I mean, the support is coming from Mars, who's a malefic, but the moon's already been in contact with Mars and is waning or leaving behind that connection. So it's already behind her. And, you know, it's interesting with the moon. The moon moves fast, guys. The moon moves through 2 signs every 2.5 days through a sign. And so as the moon is moving in this direction, right, having contacted Mars, now more precisely Athena, goddess, knowledge, wisdom, and information, Juno, partnerships, agreements, collaborations, forming a fire, trying to, again, the asteroid for homecoming and yearning for home. I'll say one thing. The first major aspect that the moon will make with another planet sometimes will give us the flavor of the lunation, and that's going to be Neptune a day later, right? And so, I wonder, what about this is about dispelling an illusion, crashing through a delusion, breaking free of some imaginal thing that simply is not true? Well, the answer is something I'm not sure of, right? I'm just pondering that question. I don't have the answer. But Moon Neptune energy is psychic and intuitive at best, and confused, disillusioned, escapist, and all of that at the other side of it. So let's see how that plays out, because we're talking about June the 4th, when that moon will square Neptune. At the same time, however, good news is Venus is trining Neptune in the temple of the moon, and that may soften what is tension between the moon and Neptune, and Venus saying, it's all right, everyone, calm down, everything's fine. Venus is in the anaretic last degree of the Sibley USA chart, which rules stock markets. This moon is in the first house of the USA, and the sun, Juno, in the 7th house of the USA. So for the mundane interpretation, a possibility of a peace treaty or agreement being formed in the 2 weeks or so after this lunation. But with Venus also in the Sibley chart USA stock market house, right? The Cancer 8th house of markets and commerce, opposing a Pluto, while the moon is squaring Neptune. That could be some kind of dropping of the illusion and delusion around things to do with finance, markets, stock markets, currencies, banking, potentially as well. Neptune is in the 4th house of the United States chart, which can represent the opposing party to the party in rulership, therefore the Republican Party. And so maybe there's a big Republican Party passing of a bill or a sponsoring of a bill or something like that, that would help the Venus through the US stock markets part of the sky in a positive way. But we the people are disillusioned, or we the people are squaring up with some kind of fantastical, unreal story that have been giving us a, like, what do you call it? When people are lying, disinformation, misinformation, but more than that, like, where has there been some kind of obfuscation of truth? I just wanted to put Hygeia in here. I just did, just in case she has a role. I wasn't paying attention to her. Well, Hygeia, the goddess of medicine, health protocols. During the pandemic, she was very active, is moving through Aquarius, which is very much a part of where Pandemic Central was involved. And she is in a energy in the sky at the time of the new moon, in which she is in a whole sign sextile to the moon. And the day after, on June 4th, there is a sextile between that moon and Hygeia. So maybe, just maybe, there's a story going on, a little shock and awe, Uranus and Mercury, which could be stock market shock and awe. Some of this may also be hearkening back to pandemic measures and some disclosures. A lot of news now about the lab leak theory no longer being a theory, a lot of new information coming out about cover-ups and stuff. So maybe it's just more of that. But I think Moon square Neptune right after the Sag lunation, especially in the house of the identity of the USA from the Sibley chart, can be a sort of a USA collective gasp of disillusionment about something in the narrative of the country itself. Joe Biden has his moon in his 6th house of health and sickness and health, in the 6th house. And that is going to be experiencing the Jupiter North Node conjunction during the time of this June 3rd and 4th full moon. So Venus is also pretty close to Joe's Jupiter. Usually that's a good thing. But there could be some Joe Biden news in the story, maybe about his scandals, not his health, because the sixth house is also connected to karma. All right, so let's get going and talk about your sign. Those are just some general thoughts. Today, I am going to use my sister to be my time stamper, and I'm not going to spin this wheel because the moon is moving too quickly. And if I go through all signs, half the time I lose the darn moon. And then it's, well, really difficult for you guys to track what's going on as the moon is no longer in the right position. So I'm just going to speak to you, and you'll have timestamps and you'll have chapters to jump ahead and watch what's happening. Okay. If you're in the live premiere, which is always goes live for my regular crew around the world, who I adore, all of you, the Feral Writer, Herbal Empress, Purple Table Tarot, Stephen the Jupiterian, Mercury with the Message, Jupiter 8. I know I'm forgetting a lot of you. Of course, L.A. Taylor, always, and Misbehaving, and more. All around the world, we talk, we chat. Plen, who hasn't been there for a while, but off in the Netherlands, and all of you guys, I appreciate you. So don't forget to hit the like button. When you're watching the premiere, it hits the algorithm's golden spot, tickles it up, and tells it to share my video after. And I'm recording at around 29,000 subscribers on the 26th of May. I cannot wait to hit 30,000 and have a giveaway party, which I do now on every 10,000 subscribers forward. That's my new plan. I used to do it on every 1,000, then every 5,000. Now, every time I hit a new 10,000 mark, we're having a giveaway party. You'll know about that if you sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. You'll certainly know about it then, and you'll get in on the contest and the giveaway. So otherwise, like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And probably within 2 weeks of this video, I'll be having a big giveaway party, probably live this time, and doing some delineation and giving prizes away at the same time. Okay, let's get going. Let's talk about this lunation for each sign. I'm going to stop the share. This is not going to be a long video. I'm going to go through it at a nice clip. Okay, so I don't want to belabor this one. Oh, FYI, if you are into jewelry, this is a beautiful piece of jewelry by Milena Devi of Goddess Co. Treasures, and that's her Etsy site. I'll put a link in the description box for you. I'm always helping share her work. She's somebody who lives in Vancouver, Canada, where I do live as well. She's originally from Bulgaria, and I'm just trying to help support her business. So sister power, if you want to grab a look at her earrings at all you have to do is check her Etsy site out. Isn't that just gorgeous? And the day that she gifted these to me, by the way, we had lunch, and I just saw these mushrooms in a garden. And then I walked in, I was going to take a picture of them, and she's, she was going to give me a gift. And there was another pair, fairy goddess earrings, they were called, and I wanted those ones, and then she forgot, and she brought these instead. And honest to goodness gracious, I prefer these. These are more me. So, okay, so there's my pitch for a local artist. No, I don't get a commission on this. This is not sponsored content. Okay, or any money for this. Okay, so let's get going and talk now about each sign. We'll start with Aries. I will probably take no longer than 3 or 4 minutes for each sign because it's pretty a simple delineation in a lot of ways. I hope I do go at that kind of a clip anyway. Just for my own sake today, it's been a day of teaching and clients and back end stuff on my business. And on Friday, May the 26th, I just want to go TJ8. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. I want a TGIF. Okay, here we go. Number 1. We're going to start with Aries and we're going to move forward. I'm going to delineate the fire trine in the sky. The wedge as well, if I feel called. Every sign I may do a little bit of a slightly different delineation about how I think it will play out for you, especially the Jupiter ruled people. And you're going to feel this one, of course, a bit more because it's a Jupiter ruled lunation with your Lord off duty, which is its own set of interesting circumstances, right? So let's get to the Aries first and we'll move on. Oh my goodness, my software is glitchy. I'm looking at the software. All right, so Aries, sun, moon, and rising. The asteroid for the grand fire trine between the moon. I'm just going to say the homecoming asteroid. I'm not going to try to say Leleakuhonua every time. The homecoming asteroid, the migratory birds, the moon, which is home and nest itself, and Mars, Athena. There's a fire trine in the sky between houses 1, 5, and 9. The moon is in your 9th house, the house of foreign shores, the house of academia, foreign travel, book publishing, third marriages, legal matters involving judges, spirituality, faith, belief, temples and churches and religion. Now, the moon up here in Sagittarius is something you felt, every year. It's nothing new, but there's this homecoming for the Aries sun, moon and rising feeling. Like you want to go home, you're nostalgic for home. You want to migrate to your true home. I'm an Aries sun and moon, and I'm just crossing my fingers. My landlady is going to renew my lease, but if not, I'll be asking myself, are you my home? What's my true home? And at the same time, Mars is in the house of children and romance in Leo, a lot of fire, a lot of excitement. If you've been having conflicts with your children, by the way, or romantic sexual partners or stuff like that, and Venus is going to smooth things out starting on June the 5th. More so anyway. But with Mars and Mars here with Athena in a fire trine with that moon and homecoming, I could make a story about doing something strategic in your independent business enterprise or your love life or your children to do with what your next move is. Because, fifth house stuff, Mars is saying, what's your will, what's your drive, what's your purposeful direction, what's your next move? So you're coming into the 2 weeks that follow a clear pointer or directionality around next move. Now, Jupiter is actually in your second house of earnings, even though he's not witnessing the moon. One could argue that in some way there's a next move about earnings and the way you wish to earn money already that could be encoded that way. So, and also Venus is in the temple of the moon in your fourth house of home and real estate. So again, some choices about home, property, real estate, earnings and money may be unfolding in the 2 weeks that follow, but you're moving with your passion, you're moving with your heart, you're moving with your joy, you're moving with your enthusiasm, because that's what Mars does when he's in the fifth house. He asks you what those true things are. That wedge that we talked about earlier, at the pinpoint of the wedge is Athena and its moon-sun opposition. You may come to a critical juncture in a partnership in business or love that you're going to be able to resolve through taking effective decisions and actions in the romantic department. Same thing can apply for business and love that I just said. You may make some agreements in your local neighborhood. You may sign some contracts or some vows of fidelity to someone or something that involves trips, travel, and your local neighborhood or a sibling, again, in the 2 weeks that follow this moon. And because Athena is strategic and lawyerly, this looks like a lot of you to do with local contracts, online contracts and agreements, or agreements and contracts with siblings in the 2 weeks that follow the moon. Okay, I've got to move at a better pace than this. I realize, or we'll be here all day. And if I'm talking too fast for you, please just slow it down. There's a playback button on YouTube. You don't need me to talk slower. You can just listen slower, okay? So moving into Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. You guys are having this lunation in your eighth house of chunky money that you receive through inheritances, rebates and taxes, chunks of commissions, stock investments, your spousal shared resources, and more. And mortgages and loans. Certainly, with this full moon. Did I say new before? If I did, like someone just shoot me. With this full moon in your eighth house and Mars Athena in your fourth, a lot of you are looking at legacy wealth or real estate contracts and agreements. Mars is trying to get things to go forward. Athena's lawyerly, strategic, and looking at the kind of best way to go about achieving a victory. As well, you have the goddess of contracts and agreements in the house of money. That's Juno with that sun, especially in Gemini, 2 or more people involved. What kinds of agreements are you trying to make to do with money, property, land, real estate, mortgages, loans, and chunky money or inheritance money, etc., or business partnership money? So Taurus, sun, moon, and rising as well. There's a fire trine in the sky. It's linking up your fourth house of home real estate, your eighth house of chunky money, and the fire trines, the yearning for homecoming in the 12th house of foreign lands, foreign shores, your bed pleasures, your 12th house, things you do in private, your spiritual life. Maybe you're having a yearning for some spiritual enlightenment or some downtime with your soul, but you're really busy with a lot of other things. Sometimes migratory birds, a house of foreign shores. Some of you may be yearning to visit a foreign shore or land and feel like you're yearning to go there because it will give you a sense of homecoming. Alrighty, let's keep going. I really am trying to keep it short. Anything else I'd say? Nope. Moving forward, I'm having a day. Don't forget, if you're live premiere, hit the like button. Don't forget to support the channel, help it grow by a simple push of your finger on a button that makes it grow. Thank you. Subscribing is even better. Gemini, sun, moon, rising sign. Well, this is a story of the moon in the marriage house. And if you're a Gemini rising in particular, there's definitely some full light shining, some revelations and completion. But also don't forget that moon is, going into a tunnel. So maybe something will be kind of hidden, maybe until also some support from Venus comes through your third. We'll get to that. I kind of feel like this energy for you of this new moon, full moon in your seventh house, could connect you in a fire trine way to some kind of allies or benefactors or great gains from your career or lucky breaks coming through a business partner or a marriage partner, but also connected to the words journeys, travel, education, online world, and the local neighborhood. So you can kind of go Mars and Athena and local neighborhood, right? And things to do with moon people in your seventh. Moon can be mother here, mother figures, but also just people with whom you are going through some kind of completion process. Often I talk about looking back to the new moon that happened here, which I forgot to do. But if you want to go back and look at the new moon in Sag 6 months earlier, you may have started things then that you're coming into fullness or fruition now. Okay. I maybe should have said that for all signs, and maybe I'll add that as I go forward. Yes, I will do that. So Geminis, go back to November the 23rd last year. And what were you seeding in the fall of 2022 that's coming to a fullness, especially in the house of one-to-one partnerships in love and business? And maybe you're excited by some kind of trip for travel or move. If your IC's in the third, some kind of excessive joy or luck or goodness that can come from this, especially if you're making your business online. This could be very beneficial for new financial gain in that sense. I also would say to you, because he's in aversion, but Jupiter is sitting in your 12th house, there's a very deep soul work energy that may be ongoing and slightly peripherally connected to this moon, especially if it comes to finding spiritual truths, spiritual teachers, and spiritual depths in your life. And Venus in the temple of the moon is just about to finish up there. And again, this impacts your earnings in a positive way. And I guess I'd say the wedge to Athena Mars, but forming as a wedge between the opposition of sun and moon, may ask you to really consider the role of partnership in your life. What does it mean to be in a dedicated union, a sacred vow of one-to-one relationship with either a business and or love partner? And how does that look when you add in the ideas of, perhaps changes or new directions in neighborhood, travel, or things to do with the online world? For example, maybe for some of you, it could spark a new dating opportunity in the online world, Tinder, all of that. All right, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm looking out my window at this beautiful day in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm kind of yearning to be out there. So being totally honest with you guys, all right, what happens with astrologers when they have a full workday with clients and classes they're teaching, and they do these videos, they can be kind of like, I want to be outside. I do it outside if I could get away with the lighting. So, okay, if you're the live premiere, hit the like button. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. Whew, it's warm. I need to open the window. Give me a minute. I need to blast it open. All right, that's better. Just hope. Okay, Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign especially. Let's get going. Whew. In your chart, what you've got happening is a full moon in your sixth house of work, service, tendencies, pets, things to do with rentals, rental properties, debt relief, karmic and real, sickness. So full moon can shed light on how to be more healthy in your life. Go back to November last year when we had a new moon. Are you picking up a thread on pets, tendencies, debt relief, and health? Because that's now full here. And you've also got some support in a fire trine going on. Yeah, I'm hot. Between Mars in your second house of earnings and the lunation in the sixth house of work with strategic Athena, how by dispensing strategic knowledge and wisdom either to the world through your voice or by being more strategic in your earning strategy, are you going to fire up and really come home, migrate to the place of your purposeful career and your reputation in the 10th house? This can really help you align money, work, and true calling in a visible way in the world as a Cancer rising, especially Sun and Moon secondarily. As well, there is a wedge formation, and Athena and Mars are playing a part of soothing the tension between the Sun and Moon. But because Juno's in the mix, it may have to do with contracts and agreements with somebody from a foreign land, foreign shore, revenue derived from a foreign land, foreign shore, or international boundaryless revenue, that's called PayPal, Stripe, etc., as well as partnering with somebody because Juno is there. Who do you need to want to partner with to make more money in foreign lands and foreign shores? All very possible. Last but not least, Jupiter, the lunation lord, is in your house of elder sibling, as well as friends and allies and greater gains from your career. It looks a lot like Cancers are getting some support from friends and benefactors who are allies, the possibility of some greater career gains, a sparking of a more fullness in the work, pets, and rentals house. For some of you, again, this could also be about relieving yourself of financial debt, karmic and otherwise. I would say as well, the sixth house is a hardship house usually, but this moon doesn't feel so difficult. And I kind of would say to you, if you've been struggling with any sickness issues, this full moon could give you the educational clarity to clear up any lingering sickness or health challenges. I said educational because Jupiter is a ruler of education. And even though he's in aversion, he is sitting with Mercury and Uranus, the god of information and sudden. So sudden information may slice through the sky at one point, a couple weeks after this moon, to give you the clarity you need to clear up any health challenges that are lingering. Hey, Leo, sun, moon, and rising. In your sky, this is a story of a full moon in the sign of Sag in your fifth house. The fifth house is a lucky house. It is a place of joy and inspiration, fertility, pregnancy, children, romantic love, independent entrepreneurial energies, and creativity and the muse. A lot goes on. Also, natural talents and skills, and sometimes the learning that involves getting better at them. Lots of meanings to that fifth house. First of all, it's a full moon that may be capitalizing on something that began in November in this area of joyful inspiration. And because it's also involved at this time in a fire trine with the asteroid for homecoming, the homecoming migratory asteroid, the yearning for one's true home, is in the ninth house of God. Now, it's also the foreign lands and the third marriage house. It's also the house of court and legal matters. But since it's a migratory bird, are you yearning for a joyful leisure trip to some foreign country or place you might want to travel? And if you're a Leo rising, then Mars, who's in the house of you, making you decisive, bold, and directional, with Athena, very strategic, might incite a desire to plan a trip as a result of this moon and the 2 weeks that follow. And did you maybe think of traveling last November and didn't follow through? Now you also have a wedge, and that means simply this. Mars is trying to work with Juno, the goddess of partnership, and the sun, the planet that can represent purpose and career, in the house of great gains from your career, but also an elder sibling. Would you be thinking of partnering with a friend, an ally, somebody else to increase your gains in your career, or even collaborate or be supported by a elder sibling to advance yourself? And in your case, the advancement looks a lot like bringing more joy into your life, more inspiration regarding the great gains you are accumulating from your career. If you're a Leo rising, goodness gracious, Jupiter's in your 10th house until next May. You are definitely killing it over the next year in what we would say your reputation and career is. All right. So this is a lovely moon for enhancing some of that, but mostly pay attention to your kids, have fun with your kids, look to what is becoming fulfilled with your children. Like, it could be a lot of things. Full moons are endings and completions. What could be coming to an ending or completion with a child, adult or not, that you need to address and will address because of something that started in November and may complete now in the 2 weeks that follow. All right, like my daughter, like my best girlfriend, like my son, I got a lot of Virgo energy. So Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign people. This is a full moon in the house of home, property, land, and real estate. What started up in your life last November that might be coming to a completion or fullness here? Some of you may be looking at fulfilling a home change or shift of home, especially because the homecoming asteroid is in the house of real estate, like escrow, mortgages, bank loans, and inheritances. Now, because the moon is in the fourth house of legacy, wealth from family of origin, possibly, and the homecoming is in the eighth. I don't know, a fire trine there with Mars in the house of hospitals. Not wishing this for you, but a possible family of origin relative, usually up the line directly, not siblings. It could even maybe be a grandparent, but like parent as well, could end up becoming ill and decide to bequeath money to you or something like that. Now, if it's not something like that, because it doesn't have to be, it's just an upgrade to your finances through loans, bank loans, credit cards, and the homecoming could be like you're migrating towards more chunky money and less hardship with earnings, for example. Some of you may have a yearning, though, with a homecoming in the eighth to dive into some deep occult studies and learning the mysteries of life and get your, magical tarot card pack out and learn more, because the 12th house incites learning as well. And Athena is a goddess of knowledge and wisdom. So some of you Virgo risings may decide to learn more, but you could also say retire because, homecoming asteroid, migratory birds yearning, and the eighth house is a retirement money house. And you may just want to travel around the world or take trips to foreign lands. And some of you just want to complete something to do with where you live and maybe journey and adventure and travel, especially with the lunation being ruled by Jupiter in the house of foreign lands. Also, Virgos, you're looking at a wedge, and that just means that you might want to partner up with Sun, Juno in the 10th house, somebody, even get legally married as a result of this transit. But you're also looking at it strategically, and it may involve passports or visas or travel and marriage stories, like a destination wedding being planned, or settling down a date for a wedding. My Virgo sun is engaged. I bet you any money there's going to be some clarity in the next 2 weeks with this energy of the full moon activating this wedge part of it, that says, time to set the date for the wedding. And I do know that they are thinking of a destination wedding, my son and his girlfriend, well, his fiance. He's a Virgo. Okay. Certainly this is good for a new contract or agreement in your workspace, getting hired at a new place, or getting some kind of new terms of service or contractual agreements from backroom deals and negotiations that up-level you in your work. Again, be strategic. A lot of behind the scenes action needed to affect this, but it looks positive. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a full moon, which can bring completion and fullness in your third house, and it's in your house of siblings, and it's also in your house of trips and travel, local neighborhood, and learning online and things to do with the online world. What was going on last November when we had a new moon in the same part of your sky that might be coming to fullness now? Because the homecoming asteroid, which I dare not pronounce, is involved in a fire trine in the sky with Mars, Athena, anchoring one corner of the trine. There could be something like this happening in your sky. You have a yearning as a Libra rising sun and moon to partner in love or business, and a homecoming into a relationship place where this asteroid for migration is happening. You want to move towards a yearning to move towards this homecoming within primary business and love relationship. And the moon is saying, does it involve the need for travel, a change of neighborhood, sibling interactions? You also have Mars in the 11th house of good spirit, which can be about allies and benefactors coming to you to support you with strategy and knowledge and wisdom. If it's about business partnership, it definitely could look like that. Mars Athena can be being very strategic about how you want to make greater gains and financial resources happen from your career path, which is at Cancer 10th house, and the gains coming through the 11th Leo. And you may be inciting some kind of fullness or completion about something you've been doing already. The third house can be a work house, especially if you're working online, and so you might be completing one path of work to move towards something new. And I do like the wedge. How do you want to partner up in love, or partner up in significant relationships with maybe churches and legals and courts involved, Or do you want to take a trip with a partner in love or relationship to some destination? That journey can be incited from this moon. It doesn't have to be foreign lands because the moon is in the more local travel area. But traveling with a partner and finding yourself having a lot of good things happen, Mars, Athena in the house of good spirit, and more enjoyment of life. And even traveling with people whose company you enjoy may occur June 4th, add 2 weeks. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. If you are Scorpionic, and boy, have you been through that eclipse ringer over the last year and a half, you're going to have a full moon shining brightly in your second house of earnings, which can bring a completion to an earning strategy, like a change of job, or it can be a fullness to that earning strategy. Now, go back to last November because you had a new moon here. So you may have begun a new thing in the earning strategy, job strategy, work strategy, finances strategy, resources strategy, and now it's coming to a fullness. Because this is an energy that's also combining in a fire trine with Mars, Athena in the 10th house of work and career. Mars here, Athena, strategic exit, strategic getting fired, strategic change of job could be happening in the sky. And the homecoming yearning, asteroid Leleakuhonua or whatever, is in your 6th house. And your 6th house is work and service, as well as pets and tenancies. However, it really feels strongly connected here to a lot to do with work, money, and earnings. These are the houses that involve those things, houses 2, 3, 6, and 10. Work, earnings, up, fulfillment, increase perhaps, but changes perhaps as well of the way you've made money or the strategies for it. If you are a Scorpio rising and you have any involvement in the book publishing industry, the full moon in your second house has Venus in the temple of book publishing, could be a very positive development in the 2 weeks that follow around agents and publishers and book publishing as key words, as well as legal matters involving courts and judges. I also like the fact that you have the possibility here with the lunation lord Jupiter, even though he's in aversion, somehow sort of increasing the connection you have to your marriage partner, and it may involve the possibility of a more formal or legal arrangement between the two of you, even possibly something to do with an upgrade in the relationship, like more monogamy, commitment, moving in, and things like that. Certainly Jupiter is blessing your partner and you both over the next year as he moves through to next May in your marriage house. And he is the lunation lord, so he may help you increase your money and your resources and your success financially, but maybe through your partner, they're getting a new job, they're getting an upgrade. So Sagittarius, this is your moon. You get one once a year, full moon, new moons. This is your full moon in your first house of your identity. Certainly if you're Sag, rising sun or moon near the lunation itself, 13 degrees, it's going to be extremely powerful. Of course, that applies to all of the Pisces, Gemini, and Virgos near 13 degrees, sun, moon, and rising, which I didn't say earlier. Can't do everything all of the time perfectly. And if you're in the live premiere, please don't forget to hit my like button. Thank you. So Sagittarius people, there is this yearning, this homecoming, and this directionality and willpower and momentum all bundled into a fire trine. So Mars and Athena, strategy, will, momentum, and directions in the house of foreign shores and lands, third marriages, travel and trips, court and legal matters, including visas, is in a condition of connection to the homecoming asteroid in the house of sexuality, children, and romance. A lot of this could look like some kind of yearning for some romantic affinity, some migration towards a true love story, some kind of sexual homecoming. But you also have to also think, how does it involve legal matters, courts, third marriages, or even travel to foreign shores, etc. You also can look at the fact that there's because of the wedge, okay, sun in your house of marriage, opposite your full moon, which can be giving you insights and perceptions as you look across at your solar marriage partner, conjunct Juno. This is about commitment. This is about legal marriage. This is about monogamy. The same things apply to the same level of intensity around business partners and allies. And this connection is asking to be released into a Mars Athena in the 9th house. So maybe something directly to do with judges, legal matters, visas, or travel or trips to foreign lands. That could be very much what I'm seeing here. And Jupiter in your 6th house is about your pets, your finances, to do with debts and all of that. I always lastly say that maybe Venus is trying to help you with your chunky money. She definitely is trying to help, and she exalts your house of real estate as she's traveling to the nth degree of your 8th house. So there could be some kind of fullness around having the chunky money you need around property, land, and real estate in the 2 weeks that follow this moon, including inheritance monies. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising, the full moon is happening in your 1st house. You might want to go back to last November when you were experiencing the new moon here. What kind of full energy are you going to feel? Did I say where it was? In your 12th house. Did I say 12th house? In your 12th house. Because it's a subtle place and it's often unconscious, and because it may involve past lives and dreams and insights, it can be very, very quiet. But if you have revenue from foreign lands, or are going to travel to a foreign shore, or have any connection to the word foreign shore, including moving to one, then the full moon here is bringing something to fullness that began to do in your life to do with the word foreign shores back last November. And you've got a fire trine from Mars in the house of mortgages, Mars in the house of chunky money, shared money with a spouse, be strategic, take action, go for it, willpower, and homecoming in the house of the home. The yearning asteroid for migratory birds that want to return to their true home is in the 4th house of your home. What is the call to go to a new home? Is that home in a foreign land with the moon in the 12th? My Capricorn rising ex-husband and his beautiful wife, Milena, who made these earrings, are moving to Portugal. So really would consider that to be quite the literal delineation for him. Each of us will have a different one, especially if you want to make revenue from foreign lands and shores. This could be what the moon is doing here and bringing fullness to that idea of money-making endeavors internationally. Now, the wedge, who do you need to partner with and make a sacred vow or contract with in the idea of the workspace of your 6th house? And if you're going to do that, it's making a contract, vow, or agreement that could support your greater financial gain in the chunky money house. Again, royalty income, commissions, tax rebates, inheritances. You may be trying to make an agreement to eliminate a debt, and that can look like a refinance or some kind of negotiation and agreements that you're making with banks or lenders around refinancing or debt elimination as a result in the 2 weeks that follow this moon. But if that was ongoing, yeah, so I'm just gonna stay with that. Okay. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, I am one of you. Here's the story. Here's the scoop. We're having a Pluto in the house of us. Maybe that's why I feel so wonky. But we're also until June 11th, but we're also having the movement of the following factors. The new lunation is a full moon in our 11th house of good spirit. Depends on your chart. My midheaven's there, so I floats to my 11th. So to me, it's also about purpose and career. But in general, it's about the financial gain, the reputation gain, the influence gain, the perks and goodies from your 10th house of career, the gains from that house coming to you. And it's not like, it's important. It's the second from the 10th, which is why it's those things. When people ask me, how does the 11th have to do with your career? Because it's second from the 10th, and it feeds the 10th, the gains, the money, the resources from your career, what you're doing, your work, your purpose. A full moon here is a completion, a fullness, or a fruiting of some kind of financial gain. And you seeded those things, those fruit seeds, back in November. What differences did you do in your career path? What changes did you make? How is this coming to fulfillment? So Aquarius rising, I think I'd say last November, I began to kick ass on my channel because I devoted myself to it at a new level of intensity that I was inspired to make it work. And I've gone like through the roof, and I've had 23,000 new subscribers in the last 12 months, right? As opposed to the slow growth of the 2 years before. Maybe that's what I'm seeing here. A full moon here can also bring you some fullness around money. Pennies from heaven and windfalls can happen here. Have you been trying to win the lottery since last November? Maybe you're going to ka-ching. With Mars and Athena and the homecoming asteroid in a grand trine from the 3rd house homecoming, and Mars, Athena in the 7th. Legal contracts, strategy, partners in business and love, contributing to a flourishing of your greater gains in your life financially, as well as the potential of a sense of wanting to do a homecoming in the third house, move to a better neighborhood that feels like a home, have a homecoming to a sibling, maybe travel to see a sibling, have a homecoming because you wanted to travel for so long, but you haven't had a chance. I'm going to travel in the 2 weeks that follows moon to my favorite neighborhood in the Sunshine Coast in Vancouver, where I used to have a cottage. So I'm going to homecome to my local neighborhood, Vancouver area cottage. And I planned that trip before I was even focused on this moon, really. So there you go. But I'm doing it with seventh house, my partner, my soulmate partner, James. So there's exactly what that sky looks like for me. And am I doing it strategically? Probably, because there's strategy there. And Venus, moves a couple of days later into the seventh house, and talk about a lovely time for a sexy time for a hot, sizzling romance if you are partnered. Because there's a wedge with Juno and the sun being formed, right? In a sextile to the Mars in the seventh house. This could be a partnership for business, a new contract, a new agreement, a new alignment, a new arrangement, agreement with a child, a new agreement and deeper level of commitment with an existing love partner. All right. All of those are true in the 2 weeks that follow this lunation. You may have disagreements with this partner, by the way, romantic or otherwise, until Venus gets her ass in there on June the 5th, but just hunker down, because after that, everything's wonderful. And the lunation is, of course, coming through early on June 3rd and 4th. First and always first, the Pisces sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm always looking for my Pisces rising guy, because he jumps out and scares me in the middle of Pisces rising. If you're in the live premiere, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Please, please, please consider helping my channel grow and get to that 30,000 mark pretty soon. And then we're going to have a party. Okay, so Pisces rising, sun and moon. Let's get going. You're going to experience this as a lunation, a full moon. Go back to November. What seeds were you planting? Oh, I forgot to even say, for me, it was in November last year that I met this guy. So basically re-met this guy. So yeah, here's the full moon, the fullness of that thing for the Aquarius me. Now back to you, Pisces. Sorry, Pisces. I'll focus on you. All right. So what's going on is, go back to November last year, new moon in Sag. There may be a completion in your career and reputation space. Sagittarius is your 10th house of career and reputation, and something is coming to a fullness, a reveal, a light, or a fruition. What seeds did you plant in November that are coming to fullness now in the work and career space? That's that simple. However, you also could consider that Mars in the house of work with Athena, lawyer, legal, goddess, strategy, knowledge, and wisdom, and homecoming asteroid is also playing a part. Your homecoming asteroid is in the story as well, and she's talking to the story from the earnings house. Homecoming to earnings, homecoming to more greater financial gain, resources. It looks like a lot of you are coming into a time where you're going to get more financially lucrative outcomes through work and career objectives and directionality. Because you have the goddess of partnership and agreements and vows and contracts in your fourth house of real estate and property and home, with the sun forming a wedge to the god of tenancies, the god Mars and Athena in the house of tenancies. So landlord-tenant relationships, pets, work environment situations, even health and sickness. You might find yourself having an opportunity to form a contractual agreement regarding pets, tenancies, rentals, things to do with work situations as well. And that is, again, coming through the sky June the 3rd, at a couple of weeks. But some of those seeds could have been planted way the hell back last year. The last thing I say, with Venus moving into your sixth house on June the 5th, and I have a whole video about that. We'll be doing lots more coming up. Well, I haven't released it yet, but you'll see. You're going to find that this is going to be a super auspicious time for your work life and your health. And you're going to move into new, better work and health agreements and arrangements with the sky June the 5th. And so just remember, this new moon, full moon, will trundle into this, like work luck, work opportunity, energy after June the 5th. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. So appreciate all of you listening to my channel, helping me grow, being here. Description box has everything you need to know about what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and all of that. Ciao, ciao, everyone. Have a wonderful full moon in Sagittarius.